Nintendo? Hi, hello. It's January now. Nintendo? It's getting a little dry out here. Where are you guys at? Need your help? Nintendo? Please? Nintendo?
Everybody like, hey, are you ready to go? Ready to go. Everybody like, hey.
What is going on, y'all? Soul here, and welcome back to my story mode. Now, this is actually the first time you've caught me doing a video in the middle of the day as opposed to 3 a.m. So guess what? Your boy's got a little bit of energy. However, the downside of that is it's hot as hell in this room that I'm recording in right now. Usually, I do it at 3 a.m. because it's so much colder. It's so cool. But because I have to, close up the room a lot, turn a lot of fans and things off, it warms up real quick. I don't have an AC, bro. It's a little bit of a rough time out here. So, while I have a little bit more energy, not sure how long that's gonna last, so I kinda wanna get through this and talk to you guys about a few opinions I have regarding Nintendo Directs. So, why don't we immediately hop into it before I pass away? So for starters, my question is, are we not getting another Nintendo Direct? Now, this has been something that's been on my mind for a little bit of a while now, considering the fact that we have not gotten a real, true Direct since, September, I believe, of 2019. Because of that, now that it's January, we have not, for the better part of a year now, over a year now, we have not known what was going on behind the scenes at Nintendo. Usually Nintendo Directs open up and allow us to get a glimpse into what's coming for the upcoming year, or at least within the next couple months, at least like half the year. That's what Nintendo Directs were for us. We got at least 4 during the year from what I knew. I got into Nintendo truly a little late, I grew up with Nintendo products, the DS, the Wii, Game Boy, all that. However, because I didn't really understand how Nintendo operated, I didn't know much about Directs for a very long time. So I only truly got into understanding how Directs and stuff like that worked back in, I believe, 2017, 2018. All right, I didn't know how long it had been since, Directs had been going on. I forgot to do the research on it. Sorry about that. But from what I know, Directs have always been a big thing for Nintendo fans, and, being on this other side now, I completely understand that. And in the moment, I couldn't imagine not having Nintendo Directs. It was so weird to receive games without that, on other consoles, on the PS3, on the Xbox, whatever. It was so weird, But Nintendo Directs were our glimpse into our future, We got to be excited. We got to look forward to big releases, We knew, or at least had an idea of what was coming throughout the year, so we knew what to save up for, what we were waiting on, and what we had to look forward to. But without that, we've now noticed that it's quiet. It's very quiet on Nintendo's end. And we now have literally no idea when we're getting our next big game, or just have any type of clue as to when it's coming. And it's very, not scary per se. I feel like that's a little dramatic to say, but it is a little off-putting. It's a little every day could be dry. The next day could be filled with something crazy, new, exciting. But every other day until that point, which we don't know when it is, it's just, okay, what now? You know what I mean? So that's why I wanted to talk about, the state of Nintendo Directs. I just wanted to kind of give the ins and outs personally of what I believe are the benefits of having no Directs and the downsides of having no Directs. It's a little bit to look at here, because Directs were so big and so important. And, obviously the pandemic this previous year, that could have been the killer. But at the same time, they don't necessarily, they've proven to us time and time again that nobody needs to be directly in front of a camera and have crazy high quality animations to make it Direct. It's not that serious. We don't really need all that. It makes it better, true enough, but in the reality of things, we don't need, a lot for a Nintendo Direct to happen. So it could go both ways. at the end of the day. It could go both ways. So that's what we're here to talk about. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about the state of Nintendo Directs. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with the decent side of things. Okay, I'm going to start off with the benefits of not having Directs. Okay, because, you know, it's not always a negative. Okay, there's probably a reason why they haven't done a true Direct. Okay, there's probably a reason for it. We just don't know what it is because obviously we don't work at Nintendo. Maybe your uncle works in Nintendo, so maybe you could fill us in, Jimmy. But, you know, other than that, we have no freaking clue. Okay, so why don't we go ahead and start talking about it? So the first real benefit of no Directs is the fact that surprises are nice. Okay, they hit a lot harder. So within these last couple months, we've seen and we've noticed that there haven't been a crazy big ton, a big fill of, you know, reveals and releases and stuff like that. However, the ones that we did get are very nice. They're super surprising. Now, the best example that I have for you guys is something that I'm going to be coming back a lot to in this video specifically, because it was it's the best example that I got, because again, we didn't get a lot last year. You know what I mean? But we did get, you know, at least one or two that I can go back to. But for now, I'm going to say, for example, Age of Calamity. We got the announcement and all of the trailers and then the release within 2 months of knowing about it. 2 months! Do you realize that? We only knew about that game's existence. The life cycle of that game has only been barely over 2 months. Barely. Okay? Remember that. We have not had Age of Calamity for very long. That's super sick. Okay? They had more time to just focus on the game, focus on all the trailers, focus on all the story and everything like that, and then give us that big trailer, because they know we've been antsy for Breath of the Wild 2. They know that we've been waiting, because it's been the better part of 3-4 years now, and we've been waiting on Breath of the Wild 2. We got one glimpse. What feels like 2 years ago, when really it's only been a year and a half. Really, it hasn't been all that long since we've gotten the announcement for Breath of the Wild 2. However, it feels like it. Especially because it has been a year and a half and we've gotten literally no information on it besides that one teaser trailer, I guess the last E3 we had. So, you know, we were super antsy, and then they dropped the bomb on us that they had a whole new project ready to go for us to give us an insight on the story of Breath of the Wild before Breath of the Wild. Okay. And we were like, oh, sick. And it came out in November. That was super close. It was super nice. And it hit so hard. We were so excited. And we were able to bask in that excitement for 3 straight months because it was so close. It was so close. We didn't have to forget about it. We didn't have to put our thoughts away about it or anything like that. Bury those thoughts so we didn't drive ourselves crazy. No, we got to talk about it for 2 months. There was a lot to speculate on. There was a lot to think about. And then we got the game. And we got to see if our questions were answered or not. And see how this game played into Breath of the Wild 2. That was perfect. That was perfect. Okay. So, I guess that pretty much goes into my next point. You know, the reveals have been a lot closer than usual. Okay. And, you know, actually, now that I think about it, Age of Calamity isn't the only example. Pikmin 3 Deluxe, okay? We didn't know that was coming until just a couple months before October when it got released. That was awesome. You know, Pikmin fans have been waiting a long time to get a little tidbit of something, and they finally got it. Not exactly what they wanted, you know, Pikmin 4, but, you know, it's something, okay? Nobody has a Wii U anymore. Everybody's trying to play Pikmin. We got Pikmin. So, cool. We'll take what we can get, I guess. You know what I mean? It's nice to have reveals so much closer because we're not having to sit there wondering, waiting, crying, being upset about it. When they announce a game now, we can be kind of sure that it's gonna come fairly soon this time around. All right, there's no need for us to really worry because obviously they've been working more behind a curtain. Okay, we've seen that. It's been very quiet this year. It's been very just in the dark. But the reveals that they've given us and the games that they've given us this previous year goes to show, yeah, they're working behind the curtain, but they're still working. There's still things going on behind that curtain, meaning that, you know, last year was a very valid excuse to not have to show us anything until it's more so ready to go. Okay? So the reveals are usually, you know, as they happen, they can be a lot closer now. And it's a little frustrating on one end, but on the other, it's very nice. It's very nice to know, hey, I know you've been waiting on this thing. Here's this thing, and it comes out now, pretty much. You know, that's awesome. I love that. I love that, and that's not really something I can complain about, because usually in Nintendo Directs, we'll get the game reveal or whatever, and usually it'll only be a trailer, and we'll get a general time frame, and you know, usually those aren't even exact. But with the reveals they've been doing, the shadow dropping, you know. Oh, and I completely forgot about Origami King, but I hate that game so much. But it was a good example, okay? They shadow dropped Origami King one random morning. Everybody was like, the last thing we expected was a Paper Mario game, but we will gladly take it. Unfortunately, we did take it, but it was nice to know about the game 2 months in advance, get the game, play the game, call it a day. You know, it was very nice. I will very much take that. Still hate Origami King though. I'm gonna say that till I'm blue in the face, and I'm black. So that was nice. That was nice. Another upside is the fact that it allows individual games to have their own spotlights. So usually a Nintendo Direct will drop and we'll be waiting on the big stuff, you know what I mean? We're waiting on, because it's Nintendo, we're waiting on the big IPs, you know, Mario, Zelda, Pokemon, Pikmin, Smash, okay? We're always waiting on the big stuff, okay? Everything else, oh, Kirby too, you know, everything else just usually feels like some kind of filler, all right? It was a little messed up in a way, you know, to throw in all their big announcements and stuff like that, and then, you know, the little guys, the littler games, you know, they didn't get much of a spotlight, okay? Shadow dropping and revealing things closer to their, you know, everything getting their own actual trailers and stuff like that for themselves actually gives a chance for other little titles that are coming to the Switch to get their own individual announcements, okay? Instead of, you know, for example, you know, you pay attention to Twitter when a Nintendo Direct drops, the first thing that's trending is the new character for Smash, or the new big Zelda game, or the new big Mario game. Nobody's talking about that little game, that little indie game that got revealed alongside that. Nobody paid attention to that because they were much more excited for the big IPs, you know? And it really sucked. That was really unfair for the little guy. But now they have the shadow drops as well. You know, everything is shadow drop now. So you'll get the drop for the big IP, and that'll get its own day, and then maybe a week or so later, the little guy will get its own announcement, and people will be like, oh, hey, this game looks really neat, you know, that's awesome. I'm fairly interested in this game. So it gets its own spotlight for a couple hours or a day or something like that, because it's not competing with the big stuff. It's not competing with the things that they know we're going to be excited for. It's not, it wasn't fair. However, now they have a much better chance of getting recognized and getting a real shot at, you know, a good release, because it's not competing. Okay, people will see that on the Nintendo Switch eShop, this other game shadow dropped, or this other game dropped. They're like, what the heck is this? I didn't even know this game existed, only to realize that back in 2019 or whatever, they revealed that game in the Direct. You didn't pay attention because Steve and Banjo got announced. Oh, I'm sorry, what the hell? Steve and Banjo, that was, whoa, what a jump. That was a huge spike. Because Hero and Banjo, got announced during E3 or whatever, you know? That example, that was all over the place, but that, just saying, now the little guy gets a chance. Individual games get their own spotlights. Even if it is an IP, maybe it might be a smaller IP that wouldn't get, you know, recognized otherwise. Okay? That's great. That's great. So, personally, I prefer it so that, you know, these littler games get their own shine, their own spotlight, and they're not competing with the big boys and getting completely undermined when they do get released, because everybody claims that they didn't hear about the game, when in reality you just weren't paying attention, or you completely forgot about it because it got overshadowed by a bigger announcement. So I like that. I like that. That is a huge upside. Huge upside. So I guess that pretty much does it for my upsides. Now it's actually time for me to start talking about the downsides of directs. And you'll probably be surprised as to how many I have here. But stick around if you want to know if that's a good or a bad thing. But anyway, why don't we start going ahead and getting into the downsides of not having any Nintendo Directs, starting with the fact that the timeline is a lot quieter. Okay, and that means, you know, we don't know what we're getting, when we're getting it, or how we're getting it. Okay, it could be weeks, it could be months. Okay, we will never know. That curtain is stapled to the damn wall. And the floors. Nobody's getting in there, and if you rip that shit down, whoo, you're getting kicked the shit out, bro. You don't want that, okay? They are locked up, tight and key. We will not know until they decide it's okay for us to know, okay? But unfortunately, now it's a long, it feels like a much longer trudge. It feels like a much harder wait, and the timeline for when we're getting things, it feels a lot longer, because and that could be a very long time, because, like, for example, look at the Wii U, dude. I don't remember what Nintendo Directs were like early Wii U, you know, if we had them in 2012. I can't remember, but from what I do know, it was dry. Nintendo Wii U was dry for a long time, okay? Only near the end of its life cycle did it get something, like a couple of things here and there, but it was still a tragedy that we didn't have any announcements. They had nothing to show, and, you know, the directs didn't do anything for us, because it was a whole mess. It was a whole mess with that. But because we don't have directs now, we don't know what we have to look forward to, if we have anything to look forward to at all. We can't really keep track of that, and so now the timeline's a lot quieter. Not a lot of people are talking about anything because there's nothing to talk about, okay? And so it really sucks that we're really never gonna know or look forward to it, be able to look forward to a direct and see, you know, like, for example, they'll usually announce a direct a day or so ahead, maybe even a week or so ahead sometimes, and we'd be like, okay, cool, well, let's predict what we're gonna hear. And 9 times out of 10, we were likely to hear about that one game that we heard about a couple months ago. You know, it was very common for that game to come up in a couple of directs before its release, before its big release. Okay, sometimes it would look completely different since the last time we saw it. So, you know, usually in the normal case, in the regular situation, Breath of the Wild 2 would have probably gotten more on it by now if we had directs, okay? Because when they make directs, they know that we have to have something to look forward to. They know that they have to have at least one big fatty in there for us to be excited about, okay? They knew that, you know, they always had their one grabber, okay? And in this case, it would be Breath of the Wild 2 or even Metroid Prime 4. Possibly even Bayonetta 3. But now all we're doing is pretty much waiting on developer comments. It's going great. It's going well. Thank you, man. Thanks a lot, I guess, you know. It just sucks to be, it just sucks to have things so quiet, you know. When we would get a direct, we would have something to talk about for the better part of a week. You know, there were so many different things to pick apart in that direct for at least a week or two. And now we got dry timelines as far as games right now. Alright, so that's just how I take that. Alright. Another thing that really sucks, and this one's more of a personal thing, this just kind of irks me a little bit, is the fact that they kind of still abuse the title of direct in certain cases to, like, kind of grab you, you know? They're like, we know, because they know that we want directs. Alright? Sometimes they'll drop a little thing, be like, hey, come here, this is a direct. You know, they're putting up the quotation marks with their fingers. This is a direct. Just come check this out. And in a way, it's genius, but in another, it's infuriating. Because we know it's not a real direct. And 9 times out of 10, it's not even an IP-based direct. You know? Monster Hunter will get its own little showcase or whatever, you know. We'll get the partner showcases. We'll get the indie stuff, indie world showcases. I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad they don't call it, you know, indie directs now. But in some cases, yeah, those mini directs, they really were mini. All right, that March one gave us an HD re-release of Xenoblade and the announcements for, I can't even remember. Was that where they announced 3D All Stars? I can't even remember. It was not a very memorable direct because it was a mini, and because they just wanted to go ahead and kind of abuse that direct power. You know what I mean? Because they know what kind of power the direct has. All right, look at PlayStation. Power of Play, bro, that's a direct. That's their direct. And they haven't even done one of those in the better part of a, oh my god, they haven't done that in forever, it feels like, huh? I could be wrong. Maybe I'm missing it. But it's a very abusable title, Nintendo Direct. Look at me, abusing it right now. But, you know, for good cause. But either way, it's a little painful to see that. And it's very infuriating because we know 9 times out of 10 now, we know it's not a real direct. So it's almost like they're faking us out in a way because they know that's what we want. And it's like, make up your mind. Either just get rid of the direct title altogether or bring it back. That's all I'm saying. All right. Now, these next couple personal pinpoints here are just personal things here. And I'm not even going to go all that into depth with them. But, you know, personally, I'm really going to miss, or I really do miss that we're not going to have all the cute dialogue between, like, the CEOs and the game heads and the characters and stuff like that, you know? Them talking to Bowser like, oh, sorry, wrong Bowser. You know, that was adorable. I miss stuff like that. It really made the Rex feel homey. You know, it made them feel like, you know, they were just having a good time with the family, and it felt so nice. You know, that's not something we're gonna get ever with Power or with State of Play or anything like that. Xbox doesn't have anything like that. They have their little showcases, and that's cool and all, but it just doesn't feel as connected. It doesn't feel as, you know, ironically direct to us as Nintendo did. You know what I mean? It felt just very at home. It felt like, you know, you were safe talking to the fam, like, hey, all right, so here's some things I want to show you. You know, it was just nice. It was just really nice. And I'm going to miss not really having that as much if they're really going to stop doing directs. It's a little painful. I can't lie to you. You know, it's dumb. It's a little dumb thing. But me personally, I really like stuff like that. You know, I love the interaction between the other developers and then, you know, the presidents, you know, Reggie and everybody. I loved their interactions. I loved the way they would, you know, talk about the games in their homes and stuff like that, whatever, you know, and the little jokey skits and stuff. I'm going to miss that. I'm going to miss that if they're really truly getting rid of it. And that's sad. And then my last one here is the fact that, you know, we're not going to get those, oh, and we got one more for you. We got one more big thing for you. And usually that was what we always waited for. I think that's probably the most painful part of it, is that we don't get those one more thing announcements anymore. And what I mean by that is the fact that, you know, we can still get those, but if it's in an indie world showcase or something like that, we know what it's not. We know it's not a big IP. We know it's not a Smash character. We know it's not just something crazy. We know it's something cool, you know, for their situation, but it's not gonna hit as hard. It just doesn't hit as hard. All right, that's just how I personally feel about it. You know, those one more, we got that one more thing for you. That was what hit the most. That was what hit the hardest. That's what drove everybody wild. And without directs, we can't really get that anymore. You know, with the shadow dropping and stuff like that, with the individual releases. Cool, awesome. We just don't get those one more announcements. And that was so exciting because we never knew what we were in store for. And it was very exciting. But what can you do? What can you do? So, those are my downsides. That's just how I feel about not getting directs and what's bad about it. So, overall, honestly, it's gonna sound weird, but I'm really not all that mad about it. Even though it sounded like it at the end there, I'm actually not all that mad about not getting directs as much anymore, because overall, it seems like it's a lot more beneficial for them to give individual games their own reveals than packing them into big videos and risking one of them getting completely ignored as opposed to the big reveal. Okay, it's more beneficial for them to be able to announce a game, build up the hype within those couple months because they know we're always looking, and then give us the, get the game to release while all the eyes are still on it. Because over time, it's not impossible for people to fall off and not think about those games anymore. So they know we have our attention, and they get us while we still have that attention, or while they still have our attention rather. And it's a fine tactic, They get our attention and our money, I guess, and we get quicker reveals and releases. Fine by me. Or rather, quicker reveals to releases. I wouldn't say we get quick reveals. I can't tell you when the next reveal for anything is. But it's nice to look forward to a game coming out a lot closer to when it's when it's revealed. I like that a lot. That's nice, because I'm sitting here waiting on Neo: The World Ends With You. Good God Almighty, that's gonna be a hell of a wait. We did get a time frame though, so I'm cool with that. But that has nothing to do with anything. But what? I'm not gonna lie to y'all here. I'm reading my last little comment here. I'm gonna read it out loud. It says, "It sucks that the only think I know when too forward, too so far." I don't know. I don't know what the hell what that means, but I think I wrote that at like 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. or something. I must have been exhausted because I don't know what that means. That was gibberish. I don't know what I was thinking, but either way, my point still stands. We gain a little bit more on both sides, in a way. There's definitely some fat L's from both sides, but there's definitely some big W's to be obtained from no directs, and that's mostly getting more over time and being more surprised, because that's the best feeling. Being surprised and shocked and excited, that's awesome. That's awesome, and it's a great feeling. They still gave us that with directs, don't get me wrong, but I feel like getting it individually on a random day, not expecting it, is the most exciting thing to wake up to or fall asleep to. It's very nice. So, and not to say again that directs can't give us that or haven't given us that, but I think a lot more people benefit overall from no directs. However, that doesn't mean I hate directs. I miss directs, I love directs, and I'm going to miss them if they are truly gone. So, I've rambled. I try not to make this as long, but this ended up being longer than in my last video even. Wow, Jesus Christ. But whatever the case, I'm gonna just hurry on up then. I want to hear what you guys think. Do you guys think that the state of directs, as far as, the state of directs, do you think we need more directs? Do you think it's better that we don't have any directs? Do you think we'll still get them down the line, or do you think they're done forever and that they're moving forward completely with just a whole new way of things? I want to hear what you guys think. All of it in the comment section below. I'm passing away right now. It's so hot in here, so I'm gonna go ahead and skedaddle. Thank you guys ever so much for watching. I truly do hope you enjoyed. Do me the greatest favor of dropping a like and a comment, and I really truly do hope to see you guys in the next video. Do me the greatest favor of taking good ass care, and I'll see you all next time.